In today's video, I'm going to show you how to quickly make a repeated structure and attach it to something else. In this case, this is for our rebuilt robot. We're going to have 4 roller bars along the bottom. Each of those roller bars has 4 pieces, although not all of them are currently in there. Let me zoom in on one of these. Each one should have a bearing. It should have a 20-tooth pulley. There should be, but is not currently, a hex spacer. This is a 1/4-inch spacer. Those are 3 of the 4 pieces. The 4th piece is that we can generate these pulleys with a metal insert that makes them a little bit sturdier. And since this is one of the critical pieces of the robot, we'll go ahead and do that. First, I'm going to generate a pulley with that insert in it. Do that, search for pulley, and do a custom configurable pulley. This is a 20-tooth pulley. It's hex with a WCP insert. The pitch is typically going to be that's 5 millimeters. We might need to configure the thickness, but I think that's fine. Let's go ahead and insert that. And then I'm also going to add that 3D print insert part. Again, it's the one from West Coast Products that we got for 1/2-inch hex. The basic idea here is going to be that I want to build up a unit of 4 pieces. One of the pieces of the pulley, one of the pieces of the pulley insert, another piece of the spacer, and then the 4th piece is a 1/2-inch hex. Once we have one of those, we'll put it into one of the holes, and then I'll show you how to replicate that across several holes. Let's move this around a little bit. So here's the inserts. I'm going to fasten those. I'll click Fasten Mate. Well, we'll edit this one out. Okay, so I want to connect these two. So we'll do a Fasten Mate. And I'm trying to get it to pop up that one. I'd like to fasten this insert into the hex. First, I'll get the mate connector for this, and that's the one that I want there, I think. Yep, I've got that selected. Now let's get that onto that mate connector, I think. And let's try flipping that around. That looks pretty good. Got it right. Now those two are connected. Don't know that it matters too much which side of these is up against the spacer, but I have to pick a side. I am going to make the side with the insert connect with the hex spacer. I just have to find the hex spacer. There it is. Zoom in on that, rotate around, make sure that's dope. It's done it the wrong way, so I'll flip the direction around. That looks good. I want to put a bearing on that, and then we will put it into one of the holes it belongs in. So I'm going to click a bearing here, copy that, and then paste it over here. Let's copy, and then paste. There we go. Now I do have to be a little bit careful when I attach this. What I want to have happen is have the hex spacer attached to the bearing. And so fasten mate again, and there's the spacer, the bearing, and we'll flip that around because it looks like it went the wrong way. And then solve will show me what the whole thing looks like when it's put together, and that looks mighty fine to me. Now we need to put this into one of the holes. The way this setup works is that, rotate around here, the 3 open holes down here get one of these assemblies. This 4th one will too. I left that one in there for the moment so that at the beginning we could look at what the setup is supposed to look like. Top hole up here that's open, this one is a little bit different. Just a bearing goes in there, because it's attached to a broader axle and won't have a roller on it. So let's do some attaching. Zoom in here a bit and do a fasten mate. And what I'm aiming for is this inside surface of, well, actually, I'll go right here. That surface of the bearing as one of the mate points. And then let me rotate around here, and I'd like to mate that to this hole. And let's rotate around. Looks good so far. We'll hit solve to get everything up there. That looks good. Check off on it. 2 ways you could proceed at this point. So one way is make a copy of that whole structure and then paste that copy into each of the other places. I'm going to show you how to use the replicate tool to do that on one side. I've got these 4 pieces in here, and I'd like to move them as a unit to the other holes. To do that, I'm going to use the replicate tool, replicate, and then I need to select the things that I want to replicate. Seems to be important to select all of the things in the structure that you want to replicate. So I'm going to go ahead and select those. Now I need to select which of the mates I want to match to everything else. And I'm going to select this one, which is for the bearing. Now I'm going to select match individual edges and then select, you might have to click on this individual edges to match. Then stop for a bit. I want to put one here, and I'd like to put one here, and I'd like to put one there. We'll come back to that one in a moment. And I want one here and there. Okay, so what's nice about this is I just got a whole bunch of these here with a few clicks. Well, I'm going to close the replicate for now, and I'm going to get rid of the bearings and pulleys that are here without the spacers and the inserts and all that good stuff. So get rid of those. I will reopen this replicate and click on this box down here so I can select a couple of more edges. So here's one of them, and here's another one. Okay, that's great. Now I've got all these bearings and pulleys and all that stuff in place. The next thing I would like to do is replicate the hex shaft. First, let me see if this hex shaft is mated to something. Nope, right now it's not. Great. What I'm going to do is mate the hex shaft to the bearing here. Actually, before I do that, let me show you something about the hex shaft. Trying to make this so that we can change a measurement, like how wide we want this mechanism to be in one place, and not have to type it in a whole bunch of different places. So in the configuration here, it looks like I've manually set this to a value, but if you click in, I've set it to mid-take outside width. That's the distance between the outside of these two mid-take plates. And I've added on 2/16 because the flange on the end of the bearing there is 1/16 of an inch, and there's two of them, one on each side. Now let me go ahead and do the mate. Click to mate, and the connector I want here is the mate connector of the hex, and then we'll connect that there. That looks good. Let's fasten that. Take a look at the other side, make sure that looks good. Sure does. Great. Then I'm going to replicate again. There's the instance I want to replicate, and I want to match individual edges, and I'll select those edges. There's 2, 3. Okay, those are fastened up. Those are fastened up. That's awesome. Right now, if we tried to run this, stuff would fall off all over the place. On the inside here, we want some shaft collars to hold things in place. I'll get those going in a second. On the outside, there are some low-profile screws we can use. Let me show you what those look like. Yes, shaft end screw. That's what I'm looking for, Rev. So these are 1032 screws that have a extremely wide head. The idea is that instead of having a bit of the hex shaft stick out the end here and then using a shaft collar on that, instead what we're going to do is use these end cap screws because they take up much less space. And so we'll be able to get just a little bit more space on the side here. Let's do a fasten. And let's see, I always find these a little tricky. I've got the bottom surface of the screw there, and I would like to connect that to the hex. Oh, didn't do it the right way. Let me flip that around. That looks better, and do that. Folks who are not familiar with onshape or don't have as much practice with onshape, what I'd like you to do is use this to practice. So I'm going to make a replicate here, and I'm going to replicate this mate onto one other hex shaft. After you watch this video, I want you to go in, mate the screw using the replicate I already mate that screw to an additional hex shaft. Let me hit replicate. This is the thing I want to replicate, and I am going to match individual edges. So I click that, and then I can replicate it there. I'm going to rename this so that you know for sure which one to modify. Let me close that up. If I wanted to add one more screw on here, and when you go in and do this, just add one screw so that we make sure that everybody on the team who's learning onshape can do one of these. What I'm going to do is click on which edge I want to match, click on the new hole where I'm going to put it, and then I've added my screw, and I'll close it up.